Hey, I don't think I can pin this. I haven't heard you if you're speaking to me, Ulysses, by the way. Hey, there we go.
Hey, how's it going, John?
Good.
Yeah, I tried to connect before, but yeah, I don't know. I have some issues with the drivers, but yeah, seems to be fine
That's
now.
yeah. Zoom always frequently. Whenever I join a meeting like right on time, that's usually when Zoom wants me to update
Yeah.
my drivers. Where can I put these? Look at these. This should be
Oh,
our. This is our thumbnail. This should be at least now that I'm putting flowers on screen.
wow, that's super cool, actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
you have
man.
different are different kinds, right? It's not the same. I mean, oh, it's the same
Yeah,
plant
I
but different colors.
I have no idea what different flowers these are. Actually, I
Okay,
picked them up at the farmers market on Thursday or something. So
wow, seems super
need
cool.
to
Yeah,
move it away from my mic. Was the point of that? Because I'm going to knock them over, pulling my mic at me.
lovely.
That's not what I wanted. I want each agenda item to have its own heading, so I can put
Hey,
that.
Wes.
Hey, he's getting in here too. He's getting comms on.
Hey, sorry, just grabbing the host key so I can get the stream started. Sorry.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we're recording already. So
Yeah, you just have to do like the 12-step process here to get to like sign in multiple times, go to yeah, like, and also my browser auto completes Linux Foundation to the Zoom calls URL, not the actual login where the meetings are. So Express TC. Wait, this is the one that doesn't show up in here, isn't it? I don't understand this. This one doesn't show up in the 424, but
this
no
is 29.
425.
Yeah, maybe we marked the wrong one as the one to stream or something.
No, but I I don't know. All the other meetings show up in here, and that's where you get the host key, and you can't stream unless you have the host key. I really wish we had just not ever done this Linux platform thing. Like the old way was just better.
We just got to bust open OBS and go for it. Yeah,
I wonder if there is a way to do that.
we're not. I don't think we're going to figure it out. We have a packed agenda today as it is. So
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to skip the stream. I can post it in the message, but this is the I could have sworn I told Ben this though already, so I'm wondering if it's just a bug, like because all the other meetings show up in there just fine. Because like even the May 8th one shows up. It's today's, and this has happened every time. It has shown up when I check the week before and I look ahead and I see, oh yeah, there's our meeting for next time. And then when we actually go to start it, it's not in the list. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, we're gonna have to skip it. I can't. I'm just clicking through the thing and I don't see anything to do that. So. But we can just upload the recording, I guess.
Yep.
Sure.
I'm gonna drop the. I didn't post the. Well, it doesn't matter. Whenever I do this with Google Docs, I just leave it. Anyone with link can edit until the end of the meeting, and then I go to read only mode. So I haven't posted this publicly onto GitHub because I don't know why. Part of me is like, that's the bot will find it and it'll mess up my doc because they really want to type in my doc. They're gonna crypto mine in my Google Doc. Oh no. But we can add it after the meeting. So
some powerful tinfoil under that hat.
yeah, pretty much. Right?
That would be a great way to finance open source.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I explain to friends of mine like the magnitude of Express. I'm like, well, I mean, if I did want to add a crypto miner to it, it would deploy to like, I don't know, a couple million CI machines like by the end of the week, probably. They're like, oh, okay, now I get it. That's cool. And I'm like, yeah, that's why it's cool. That's why it's cool, guys. The ability to do harm. That's what's fun about it. I'm just gonna add the link to the meeting minutes because I will forget otherwise. So
Yeah,
and we do have a big. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
I was joking about the crypto miner, so go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna bring us to the topics of the day because we do have a pretty packed agenda. Does anybody? We'll just go in order as they're listed. I think, John, did you edit it? Yeah, cool. Okay.
it is up to date. It's up to date. It's up to date.
Sweet. So we're all good to do this in order?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't arrange them in any, but yeah. I pulled
Anybody have
everything
any
in from the
private?
comments.
Anything private?
Well,
I know, but
already
I'm
recording.
I'll crop it. I just want to like, I like, this is
Yeah.
what I did before. The recorded ones, I just cropped to the point where we say like, we're starting the meeting or whatever. So I just want to double check there wasn't anything. Yeah, go ahead. Your hand.
Yeah, I think we called this out in the TC chat or whatever, but Doug has officially left the org. I haven't spoken to him or anything, but he's left the org. He's left all the teams. I haven't checked npm permissions, but just like an FYI, so people know that I noticed he posted a comment being like, "I'm not even a committer anymore." And I was like, "Really?" And then I went and I checked, and he's not on any of the teams anymore. So he's left. Which again, I think I said this at the time. That's his right, but just want to make sure everybody's on the same page that Doug is no longer a member of the TC, at least in terms of GitHub, and et cetera. So
he did officially say I'm stepping down at some point. I guess we should just quickly cover, do we think we need to do anything here? Like, should we revoke NPM permissions? Like, it feels weird to, especially because he didn't say that publicly. I think he said it privately.
Sorry,
so
I'm gonna interrupt point of order here because this is being recorded. Do we need to stop the recording?
we talked about it. Yeah.
we can't. The stupid host key. Okay, let's just.
Okay, I joined maybe while that was in the middle of talking about that.
Yeah, you can't without the host key. And I can't get the host key because it doesn't show up in the Linux Foundation dashboard. I don't know.
Maybe we should 5 minutes in. We could just get somebody else's Zoom up and join that.
We need the recording to upload. How about we just table this discussion and do it privately in the Slack? Is that all right? Just in case. If anybody has any feelings on it strongly one way or the other, I think that's maybe the best way because that's private as well. Okay.
Yeah, sure. If anyone does see this recording in the future, the only reason we're talking about this is because we need to. Doug can leave whenever he wants. It's just we want to make sure all the TC members know because we didn't hear comms from him directly that he wanted to step down. So, you know,
we did.
It's not on our issue. It's not on our agendas. So it's like table talk basically. It's the only reason it's particularly private. But yeah, we can talk about it in the TC Slack.
Yeah. Again, I don't think it's necessarily that private, but I mean, we just.
Yeah, it's just it doesn't have anything to do directly with the software. So
yeah, to be clear, there is a private Slack channel Chris, you're around a lot, so if you ever want to, step onto the TC or anything, feel free to mention that, and then we'll add you to the channel. But there is a private one for that stuff in case there's
okay.
sensitive
That's
stuff.
fine.
So, okay, cool. We'll crop for the public YouTube. At some point.
We'll do the clap.
Okay.
And now we crop.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Express TC meeting for Monday, the 29th of April. We've got a pretty packed agenda. So we'll get right into it. We'll start with announcements, and it looks like we've got two from Ulysses.
Yeah, there are basically two announcements. One is related to the security audit, still ongoing. Is one of the main initiatives for this period. So good news are we are doing a good progress. We hope to get a lot of homework from that soon. So yeah, if you want to stay up to date with that, just follow up with the security working group repository, as most of the discussion probably will be there, including additional documentation and so on. So that will be an interesting topic. And I think the next one is more relevant to whoever is watching this, which is the issue 227 from the discussion repo, which is regarding the revive of the triage team. So we finished all the bureaucracy and all the steps and so on. So basically, now we have a new triage team. One of the biggest changes, if you are thinking to join the triage team in the future, is we don't allow self-nomination anymore. So basically, the idea is that anyone who is watching this just start to reply to issues, start to participate in the project and so on, and we will nominate the people who is currently active in the project to become triage. The entry level is very low. Just to have some contributions is okay. We have a dedicated channel in Slack called Express Triage Team, where we post regularly good first issues, help wanted issues, these kind of things, and pull requests and so on. So if you are looking for, easy way to onboard in the project and do contributions, this is your channel, basically. And that's all for both announcements, I think.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything? No, we'll move on. Okay. So we've got a couple things that were added automatically. By the way, if you the list of issues that is automatically generated by the bot, I think is TC meeting agenda, maybe. You can look in the discussions repo for it. So all these ad hoc things, we should just try to in the future start getting using the labels. It should pull everything from every repo in all three orgs. So the two that were pulled though were properly list organization members, and I think John, was that? Oh no, Ulysses, this was you as well.
Yeah, I think there is a PR already from Mert, if I say the name correctly. I think it is. So yeah, the idea is basically have the list of the triage team and the TC members and so on the README of the Express project, basically, and also the idea is to see if we want to include that on the website as well. Currently, I think it's in something like in About or something like that in the menu. If you jump to that, you see the list of the active inactive TC members. So the idea maybe is if we want to include also the triage team, inactive, and so on. So we have the list in both places, or just on the README of the Express, or in both. I don't know. So that was more or less the idea of the discussion.
Yeah, so all good with this. If folks want to maintain these lists, I don't like manually maintaining lists, which is why I was hoping to maybe remove instead of add new places. But look, I think it's important that people get the recognition, and that helps when they are asking their boss to work on projects. So like, look, I think it's great if we want this. We should put a help wanted out there for to just automate this. It's a simple. I think we even have a starter thing of a GitHub action. There might even be just some GitHub actions we could just pull in that just you give it the token that has access to the teams, even if they're private, and then it just like can submit a PR with a template. Because long term, even like, look, John got pulled onto onboarded onto the TC improperly because I forgot to add him as owner to a couple things. Any of these manual steps are time wasters. And if we now have to then go and add them to teams, add them to two lists, it just feels like a lot to me. So it would be nice if, you know, we could get somebody who could help automate that stuff. John?
Yeah, on that, I updated the issue. I left comments just before the meeting on that one specifically. So again, yeah, I super low priority, but the questions we need to answer there are we talking about listing collaborators, AKA people who have committed to the repository? Because that's what Node.js does. They have code written and a workflow written to do that. They do a look back period of 12 months. If you have a commit, you get your name in the list of collaborators somewhere. So then alternatively, do we want to list the team members, which we can do that via an action, but like Wes said, we need a separate either action. I haven't seen one that exists yet. I'm sure one does, but ChatGPT wrote me a simple script to do all of that stuff. You just need a token. We just want to make sure that we do tokens, which are whatever. I left stuff. If anybody is watching this and they're interested in this, there is information in the linked issue to get started if you want to build this, because ideally we don't want to do it by hand, but it's fine for now to add the people that way, basically. So yeah, there's a lot of options there. But the one thing I will say is like, we just want to make sure, because people have the option to hide their membership of like orgs and teams. And as long as we respect that choice through the API in some way, great, basically. So, or maybe not, but yeah, we can move on. There's, if anybody feels passionate about this, we already have a PR open to do some of this work already in the README, and there's information in that pull request or the issue specifically that Ulysses that's on the agenda. So.
Since we have a packed agenda, I'd love to move on if anybody else has, okay, cool. I didn't know if anybody else had anything else. So another pretty quick one, I hope, socket.dev reports on our repos. I opened this. If I need to go through it, do people know what socket.dev is? I don't really want to waste time repeating. Okay, cool. So I'm mostly nodding heads. I figure I can add it on one repo just to get things going and make sure people are comfortable, but it's really just to help us keep a really good handle on what dependencies changes look like. My first concern when I was brought that up was I can't remember if it does properly handle packages without lock files. I actually have a couple that I turned that on and not realized that they didn't have lock files. So it works just fine. The procedure there, though, and what this would add is a comment in the pull requests with some instructions. So if you're not familiar, just read the instructions. They're pretty straightforward. It can block. It blocks by default on certain things. So far, I found those are actually pretty good defaults, but I think we can also change them. So if we need help or anything with that, for us and the team over there are pretty responsive and stuff. So we can do that. Is anybody opposed to us doing this? Because if nobody's opposed, I may just like go ham and just add it on all of them without even doing the test repo. Because it's a pretty good thing. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
So the way, oh, go ahead. Use the hands. I'm going to use hands. I'm an adult.
I don't oppose. I just have a recommendation that, and I don't know, maybe you just said you didn't want to do that with the test repo comment, but I mean, maybe just add it one place for a little bit and see how it goes. And if there's like weird configuration problems and stuff, you don't have like a set of 50 of them, to work from. I could do part of me is maybe a little bit biased with the meeting creator thing, like going off the rails, but I'm sure it's probably fine. I just think, err on the side of caution, because sometimes that tooling just creates more work for you. There's like a spell check bot workflow thing on like the OpenSSF, some of their repos, and it's like it's supposed to be helpful and point out your spelling mistakes, but like at the same time it's like causing red X's on commits and like all these million comments and issues, and it's just super annoying. I realize it's not the same thing, but you want to kind of get a better idea of what you're getting into before you apply it across the board. That's all.
Yeah, totally. Just to respond, John, and then you can go. That was my initial point of just do it on one. That said, I run this on a bunch of my personal repos and work repos, so I have a fair bit of experience that it is not too noisy and it is generally pretty much spot on.
Okay. Forget what I said then. Yeah.
I'm perfectly already comfortable. Okay, cool. Then yeah, go ahead, John.
I've seen Wes rant about spammy GitHub actions and bots before. So so just a question, because I'm familiar with Socket Dev. I'm not familiar with their action. So is it a pull request time action that will basically be like, hey, you're adding a super sketchy module, like, yo, don't do that? Is that what it will be basically?
Yeah, so they have a bunch of proactive scans they run that look for certain things. So this is way different than your typical CVE scanning. This is more about like that package runs post install scripts. Just look at them, that kind of stuff. Ideally, and this I've seen, I mean, I haven't caught anything after installing, but also I'm pretty particular about which modules I install. So maybe that's just because I'm used to it. But the best thing about it is that it can, even when you install and you go to upgrade, it can notice, this package didn't used to have post installs and added them. Right. So if you do just a simple dependency upgrade, it catches a lot more like nice things. It also adds like who are the publishers, a bunch of like what types of APIs does it access. So it's more than just like it does a sketchy thing. It's more like, hey, you're pulling in a dependency that has file system access in the code. Is that good? You good with that? Like make sure you knew it was there. Because if you didn't know it was there and you're like, wait a sec, this shouldn't, then like you could go investigate. So that it's more about like a proactive warning system than it is necessarily about like finding vulnerable code or even, I mean, it still does that as well. But the things that I care most about are, this didn't used to have a post install, now it does. Go look at what it's doing, kind of stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I suggest we enable it wherever it's easiest to do that, like whatever, I don't care how wide, let's enable it. And then on the next TC official meeting, we'll revisit it and be like, does this suck or not? Do we want to turn it off? So we'll give it a trial period. How about that?
Yeah, we have to wait at least until, that sounds good to me, but we have to wait at least until some PRs happen with dependency changes, which we have a few queued up. So I guess I could get it on the Express. Anyway, we don't need to spend a lot of time on that. But as long as everybody's good with it, I'll just run from here.
Yeah, so let's say that we'll enable it, and then we will circle back in a further meeting to check in and see if we want to continue with it. Does that sound good to everybody? I'm seeing nods. Okay, cool.
Yep,
let's call that a decision.
Sweet. Okay, if that's good, then we'll move on.
Yep.
So I think next up, Rand, is automate docs history for releases.
Yeah, so I just I think it was last week I just noticed that we were behind on one of the minor releases, and it's pretty routine kind of stuff. If you look at the PR, it seems like something that could possibly be automated. That's not really my expertise, so if someone could pitch in on that, I can collaborate with somebody, or I don't know what the right way to go about this is. I just think it would be a lot easier than going, oh, whoops, we missed the last 3 releases. Okay, well, let's scramble and get that updated. I don't know, thoughts?
Is the ask specifically that you want to, I'm all for it. Is the ask specifically that you want this to, so in the Express.js.com website, we have a section which is like history, or it's basically it's a change log.
Yeah.
Is the ask specifically to have that be auto-generated for us so that we don't have to remember to go? Because I've gone in and manually done that myself before. Is that what the ask is specifically?
Yeah, there's a little bit more to it than that, because there's a variable in the one of the Jekyll YAML files that just needs to be incremented or updated based on what the new release version is. And I don't know, off the top of my head, I can't remember. Just some like very almost trivial things like that have to occur. I'll have to go look at my PR to find out exactly what all the details are, but it's very straightforward kinds of things like that. Yeah, but basically what you said, plus maybe 1 or 2 other small things. Yeah. So yeah, and it would just be if someone could either do it or just work, with me to add the actions. I don't know if it would be just adding GitHub actions or what.
Oh, well, awesome. Looks like we have a volunteer.
Cool.
I just raised my hand to say, I think probably the best next step is just to open an issue on the website, and then we can also. But I was going to say post it in the triage group as a great way to help. But it sounds like John is also willing to help out. So maybe both.
Okay, cool.
Here's
That's
my
great.
request. Yeah, so here's the next action on this. Please, Rand, if you can, please open an issue.
Yeah.
I think we might have one like it, but like find or elect or adopt an issue specifically for it. Just outline what it is that you want or whatever.
Okay.
I can commit to making sure we do this, but also like, yeah, we'll throw a first issue or help wanted on it, because if anybody else wants to do this, awesome. What I think it would probably be is just like updating our Jekyll script to just like, whenever we generate the site, just check and see, like, do we need to pull anything in? It might not be that simple, which is why we should see where we're at, where what needs to change, and then figure out. Ideally, it should be a build script, in my opinion. So just like whenever we make a change to the site, it could potentially check to be like, oh, is there a new release of new release of Express? Then pull in and update my thing or whatever like that. So we might not even need a GitHub action for it, but if you list out an issue, then we can figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, I think that's right. Right now, we're just using the built-in GitHub Pages script, so we're not running a Jekyll script explicitly. So I'm not sure if we'll need to do that. It's anyway, we don't have to drill into all the details. But the only other thing I was going to say is it would also be really cool if we could automate the updating the middleware readmes, because they're in the doc repo, but they're just, I think in the past we've just manually run a shell script that I wrote 10 years ago or something, which is very not a great way to do it, but something along the same lines for that would be nice, just to keep it updated. And okay, cool. So I'll start an issue and we can drill down into that. The other thing I was just going to ask, even though I didn't put it on the agenda, if I could just briefly get input from the TC, is about I've been pleased that there's been a number of people who have been actively contributing to the docs, and like this guy who's started working on the new blog. I don't know if you guys saw that. That's going to be kind of cool. It's going to add some value, and various and other things. I was thinking it might be nice to start like a docs working group, like a team in the repo. Is that okay with you guys if I do that, or is there some official process that I have to do? I mean, I was just going to create a team and then ask those people, or create an issue and say, hey, do you want to be on this team? I'll add you. And that way, when I'm working on docs or when other people are working on docs, they can just tag that team. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect. We do have a website team. Do you see this being specifically just the separate group that wants to work on?
Oh,
we
yeah,
have a
it would be
website
the
team.
same,
We
but I
don't.
don't. Where is that?
Okay, I thought we did.
Oh, wait, Express.js.com collaborators, is that the team?
Yes. Yep, that one.
Okay. Yeah, you're the only member of it.
It automatically adds the person who made it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it automatically adds the person who made it as the thing, as like the first member.
Yeah.
I thought I've only created those when somebody requested or needed collaborator or commit access, the commit bit on one of the things. So I'm wondering if maybe I made that for somebody, is there a pending invite maybe? Anyway, we don't need to deal with this on the meeting, but I made it for that purpose. It should have the right permissions. If it doesn't, we can fix that.
Okay.
But it's already there. So
okay, cool.
That
all right,
pattern is true for all, should be. They're not all made because they don't all have collaborators, and we're not going to like make a bunch of teams that aren't used or are empty. But the pattern is used for a bunch of different repos. So if anybody is going to add a new committer, it's just the same process for all of them. It's the name of the repo, space collaborators.
Okay.
And then that group gets commit access. So I think it's right on the repo. So the step to set that up is basically you make the team, you go and you add the team on the individual repo, and then you add the people onto the team. And then from then on out, it's just a matter of there, and you can use the app mentions and all that from there. The team, if it just has me, please remove me when you go do this, because I mean, look, I'm following the things, but like I don't need to be pinged on every one of them now. But
Okay. All right. I'll do that. Okay, cool. I think that covers everything I had. Thanks.
Okay, anybody else got anything on that? Or we'll move on to the probably meatiest one for the day.
Just what the heck? Briefly on it, just to circle back to your question, Rand, which is like, yeah, as repo captain for the docs and all that stuff, whatever you want. I'm co-captain with you now. Technically, I haven't had much time for the site, so I will carve out some time for it right now or eventually. On that particular team, that might actually be commit access to the website, though, Wes. I was just trying to add somebody to it, and I think maybe it's commit access or something. So point is like, create whatever team you want, Rand. If you want to reuse this existing one, great. If somebody vandalizes the website, we can undo it. But I would prefer that I don't know if we want to give write permissions to folks. Is that what you're asking, to give write permission to give push permissions to people yet?
I probably wouldn't do that right away, to be honest. I would be very cautious about that. That's just how I would do it. It was thinking about more people who seem to be actively interested in working on the site, and that we could just to facilitate communication. So I can say, hey, can you review this PR, or do you want to work on this, or whatever like that, So it says role is triage. What does that mean exactly? Do you know?
Oh, for that team, it's triage right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is probably what you want then. So that allows people to do things like label issues, close it. Actually, might not label. I can't remember exactly the things, but it's what the triage team has across all the orgs. It's a pretty low, like they don't get commit bit, basically.
Yeah. Okay, that's probably fine for now. I see there's also maintain. I don't know if that's can read clone.
That's a fairly new one, and I haven't dug in on that. I think that one is more than right, though.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll look at it, but yeah, to be clear, I wouldn't give anyone write permissions to the repo unless I ran it through you guys, because I just think I just think we need to be cautious about that. That's all.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so the perm is triage, actually, so it should be safe. I'm going to add Rand to it right now. But yeah, we can do this offline. But yeah, I just want to make sure we knew what we were doing. But it looks like we're not about to give them a commit bit. So
no,
not right now, at least. But
yeah, right. Thanks.
Yeah, hopefully we get there, but it's good to go slow. So I agree. Okay, awesome. So moving on then. So this one I think is probably I think we'd be lucky if we get to the rest of the agenda, because this one's a pretty big one. So Ulysses started the issue finally. Woo!
Yeah. Yeah, I would suggest, like, before we jump into this, because it can be like the rest of the meeting, anyone has any other thing that is more critical than just jump to Express 5 on the following list? There is any specific issue that you want to discuss?
Do we want to just do the quick hits? So like skip query, John, I think you just wanted is everybody good with that?
We can keep working on in the issue in there. I updated the PR. I responded to comments in the PR there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think let's do Express 5, and then if we have time for anything else.
Okay, yeah. Let me just, since we have these here, let's just quickly, let's just try to check them off if we can. That one we're going to follow up in the issue. The fresh one that Ulysses tagged for us earlier, we probably need to consider, but are we good doing that in the issue?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. John, your AppVeyor stuff, is there anything blocking that you need us to discuss? Okay, nope.
That was mostly supposed to be an update, but no, I'm not blocked in anything there.
Cool.
We'll get it soon.
Perfect. Okay. Lock down the status codes. Anybody opposed to doing that?
That is one that I wanted to get at least a consensus decision on. So what I'm saying is that in V5, I would love to limit, we already have a PR open to throw on strings and invalid status codes, but invalid was anything outside of anything 1000 and up or 99 and below is what Node throws on. So what I'm proposing is that we're more strict than Node, and we only accept what the HTTP spec accepts. But in terms of 1xx range to 5xx range, so technically they could do 599, but that's fine to me. And is my It's going to be a major symverse. This is v5 only is what I'm talking about. So. Good, Blake?
Do we see Express as more of a framework that people build on top of, or now is like something that would be like the main thing that people are using? Because
it's a
definitely
really good
people
question.
would mess around with using status codes that aren't officially public if they're building internal APIs potentially.
So what I would suggest is like what I would suggest is that we just did not get unanimous decision there, and that I would love to talk about this in that issue, Blake, because that's exactly my point. Is like Express is unopinionated, so why be more opinionated than Node itself, right? So this is a choice and a departure away from that, and that's what I would love to have a conversation about. Basically, is I would love to lock it down, but that's us moving more opinionated. And like, I don't have a solid reason to lock it down besides like, why would anybody else do a custom status code? Which is something I would love to learn more about, to be like, maybe some people actually do use a 700 status code or something like that. So I would love to have that conversation basically. So, but yeah, go ahead. We can have it here if you guys think it's important too, but Jean's got a hand up specifically too.
So no, yeah, I was just jumping on the status code. So I was just checking the RFC. I wasn't sure. So like you said, 100 to 599 are valid code, but everything outside. But like for specific use case, for example, you asked, I use that on specific project to throw business oriented status code, but I handle that as a 500. So technically, it should be thrown and converted as a 500 if it's outside the range.
Yeah, I'd be happy to have the convo again, like I said, in the issue, because I love having specs. So HTTP spec, nothing outside of 5XX should be valid. So it's the question of, do we want to prevent people from potentially sending a status code which could be invalid to a client? And again, like, we don't have to do this, in my opinion, right now. Like, the PR is open, the work was already said we want to do, just lock down invalid status codes to like literally narrow it to what Node will literally throw if you try to do a 1000. Node will not throw if you try to do a 999. So that was the original part of that PR, but I have changed the direction of the PR. So I need to check with you guys before we merge it to be like, are we good with this? But I'm strong opinions held weekly here, so I'm more than happy to not do that. I just don't personally know of anyone who would want to do it, basically. But it would brick people who are relying on custom totally out of range status codes. So
yep. No, the strange part is from the spec, it only say that it should be converted basically as a 500 something. But technically, it's not saying that it cannot be sent.
yeah, well, Wes has a hand. Yeah,
I was gonna just gently move us on if that was all right. So but I feel like this is a great. Let's bring it back to the issue. We can raise it back to the agenda in a couple of weeks if we don't have a consensus in the issue.
Yep, there's a specific issue just for the proposal, so I'd love to talk to you guys more about it here. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then blog content, I think, was that more of just an announcement, Ulysses?
Yeah, first announcement. We are going to have the blog in the website. Basically, there is a proposal of some topics to start with. And also, I see a suggestion from Brand to make one meta blog post saying like how to write a blog entry. The idea of these blog entries is mostly that anyone who is interested in writing content can just jump in and help us, even if it seems advanced topic or whatever. It's just what's going on the organization right now. So anyone who is interested, just feel free, jump to us, start discussing. It's not yet defined the full flow because we are implementing how the blog is going to work in parallel. But yeah, anyone who's interested and know how to work with Markdown, basically at this point, should be more than enough to start helping out. So, yep.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really great resource to have just to provide sort of a communication avenue between us and the other, collaborators on the project with just the sort of broader community, because otherwise there's not really a good, there's Slack, and I mean, anyway, so I think it's a great addition.
I'm cautious. I'm optimistically cautious about the blog idea. I would super love to see us use it as TC. There's a lot about to happen and has already happened in Express that nobody knows about, right? I would love to see official communications be like the thing that we prioritize first. But no, I think Node tried this a while ago, or like back in 2016, there was a conversation about having like more stuff on the community blog of Node or whatever. And I don't remember that whole thing, but the point is that like it's a lot to sign up to review like informational. Like if people are going to be saying, hey, I wrote this blog post and I really want it on the official Express blog, that's like a really valuable thing for people. And it's a lot of work to review and vet and copy edit and make sure that people are, if it's coming from the mouth of Express, of like, here's how JWTs work. We need to make sure it's accurate and high quality. And that is not something I am comfortable signing up for right now in terms of bandwidth. So like we absolutely need a way to communicate and post about what's happening in the project. So that would be my immediate, like, I'm super thumbs up to that. But I'm cautious about saying, hey, anybody's, screw Medium, come post your stuff on our blog instead, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because there's plenty of avenues for people to post whatever they want about Express on the internet already. And there's a burden there to make sure that we're reviewing these things. And so if somebody wants to do that work, that would make me feel more comfortable. But in the meantime, like I would prefer us stick to official comms because, I don't think Express has ever had that. So that would be great to have something like that.
Yeah.
Sean?
So, like Wes, I think this is almost the same discussion as we do have in parallel with the Next 10 and the ambassador program, and how can we more communicate about the direction of the project and everything. And something I'm guessing, discuss between the line is maybe we need not really two channels, but two ways to communicate. One way where, let's say, the TC and people really involved in the project could, without too much review other than typo checking and stuff like that, just communicate, hey, we want to run and to move for Express 5. This is the main target. This is a link with the pull request or the issue or something like that. To have a global follow-up, like almost the same way as Node.js release, a blog post about release of new major versions, so like the 22 a few days ago. Whereas a second, and this one would be easier, I guess, to run. Whereas the second one would be more an ambassador program, which will need a lot more, like you said, John, a lot more people being involved and time spending on everyone to review everything, as we don't want to, let's say, have random people communicate wrong information or not up-to-date information about everything. So I'm guessing we can split that in two parts. One where selected people from the TC can publish and post about specific milestone. And the second one maybe would be, I'm guessing, for me, what I want to say is I'm thinking it would make sense to have that for ambassador-ish program after we release the V5 as a way for people to write new article and have some kind of example documentation part of the new release of the new version.
Ulysses?
Oh yeah, from my side, I think we are not in the point. I agree with John. We are not in the point of start to jumping just to community content kind of thing. I will say like it's going to be mostly official topics or around official things that we want to communicate. That can be us writing the content or hopefully other people helping us to writing the content, and we review and try to make changes and so on. And yeah, I think maybe in the future we can just try to go for more technical communications from us saying like, look, in the past we use Express 4 and promote this way of doing things, and maybe this is the new recommended way from the project itself on how to do things, rather than how to build the fastest API or whatever. It's going to be like more high recommendation technical level or new features that we introduce or things like that, rather than educational content, which can be promoted in a different way, just as John pointed out later. So.
Yeah, cool. Okay, I'm just going to move us on. Can we, just so that we have time for a rant, do you want to make it quick?
Yeah, I'll just be real quick. Yeah, I think initially it should just be for official communications from us, and we can say that right up front, because yeah, we don't need to be signing up for a lot more extra work. So that's all.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we all agree. Okay, cool. So, Express 5 last push. Ulysses, you want to?
Yeah, I
Okay.
just create the issue, but yeah, basically that was yeah, one of the challenges that we have for anyone who's watching this is like one of the main objectives now is like try to finalize with the and release 5.0. So in order to just follow up with whatever is waiting and pending and so on, we just created this issue that's going to act as a centralization for this. So the idea is we have two sections inside of the first comment that are pending things, and the other thing is discussions pending. So the idea on pending things is like whatever we have in the to-do list. If you see the word no leader, basically means like nobody's leading that. So we hope to get someone leading that. Yes, Wes. Oh,
Oh, I
what
didn't
you
mean
want?
to interrupt. If you're, I can go
Oh,
after.
okay. I can go until the end then. Okay. So then there is like the discussion pending. Discussion pending, it will be more like topics that probably we want to do a discussion online, like right now, this kind of space. So that's the perfect spot for us right now. And yeah, also I just because this is going to have a lot of comments from the people like please add this, whatever. Not everybody has the option to edit this list, but all the people who is in this call has the option, but not everybody in the organization. So basically, if you want any change, add any topic, whatever, just reply to this comment. I will just, or anyone can just mark us outdated, resolve it, whatever, when we update the principal one. So that way it's easier to see what's going on, what's pending, because I can imagine that easily we are going to have like 100 or more comments. So that way it's easier and cleaner. So just nobody get crazy if we just update it. It's a friendly way to say like it's solved and include it up there. And yeah, Wes.
Yeah, awesome. So I had started just with labeling things. It looks like you pulled in, I'm pretty sure everything that I had labeled in the router. Maybe not entirely clear. What I wanted to say was for everybody, we have a V5. Is it V5? I should look at the label before I say this, but I think it's.
We have a 5.x branch and we have a 5.0 branch.
Not the branches. Sorry. To be clear
Okay.
here, I'm just trying to orchestrate here so that we can easily find the stuff because I want to start merging things, right? So, and that means we're gonna have to like orchestrate this work a little bit. In the router, for example, I put a Express-V5 label. If we can use that across everything, that would be great. Because then we can just go pull lists of the entire org, all the issues in or PRs in the entire org labeled Express V5. Because when I was doing the branch update for that security patch on the beta branch or whatever, there was at least body parser and send. And I think send had, I'm going to blank on the name. Anyway, there are multiple levels here of updates that are partially integrated. So I had to do a couple of updates in that. I think I sorted those ones out, but we need to make sure we go through and look at every single direct dependency because I am pretty sure those were not the only ones. If you look at the V5 branch, there's a few beta things there. So what we need to do is pull those in here because there's no body parser ones in here yet. So that was, I think body parser was my next target. But if people want to just do whatever they're the repo captain for, and just like, even if we just come here and we say, I looked at X and it's done, that would be great. Just so that we don't duplicate a bunch of work. So like I was going to do, well, I started with the router. I was going to do body parser next. But I don't have to be the one doing that either. Like I said it on the last meeting and then Ulysses went and did it. So, I had child duties this weekend. So I couldn't, but basically we need people to go through and add these labels, to anything that's a direct dependency so that we can then, sort through and make sure we check them all off before the end. Yes, John.
Yeah, I did. I checked body parser over the weekend. There's one thing labeled with depths, but I didn't see anything else. You and I can talk offline about this, but I didn't see anything else that was like had to happen before V5 or whatever. There is a depths update for icon V Lite, but yeah, body parser does not have an Express V5 label. We can add one just so we can keep it consistent or whatever. I realize that we have 5.x label in the Express repo, but yeah, that doesn't make sense if Express V5 makes more sense for the modules because that's how that works. It's not about
that literally that was exactly my thing. I was like, I don't want to make V5 in the router because we're working on V2. So that was
exactly
the point there. So but what I wanted,
what you're asking for is we need to shake out all blocking issues in dependent modules or whatever Express's modules that we need to resolve.
Sure. But we should also, if there are things to add to this discussions pending, we should do that. To be honest, looking at this list, we need to probably just cross a lot of them off. Like they need to land probably someday, but like we don't necessarily need to make them pivotal for V5 mostly. I think we should have discussions in those issues to do that work. But I think like if I looking at the router, there were a few things where it was these discussion pending style things. We had like some of them were years and years old. And it's like everybody kind of seemed like yes, but the discussion had went on and on and on and on and on and never hit a resolution. So like we just need to either I was going to use a term that I probably shouldn't use on the video call. Do it or not. Right. And we just need to make a call on which one we're gonna go for on each of those. So I would say label them, even if they're discussion points, because then we at least have a list that we can easily query and check off and mess with, so that it doesn't end up being Ulysses having to edit this from memory constantly, kind of thing. Yeah, Jean.
So one big question is, so some of the module package, like the router, will be like upgrade to a new major version because there is some breaking change and everything. Do we also want, and I remember we discussed that like 4 months ago, I think, or something close to that. Or at least we discussed that together when we were in Spain, but I think we also discussed that during a TC meeting. Do we want to also do a major upgrade for package without breaking change, even if it's not completely normal, just to show that it's, let's call it a new beginning or stuff like that, even if it's just improving minor, like upgrading every version, every sub-dependency, even if there is no breaking change. I think, and this is just my personal opinion on that, would be great to move that to a major version for each package. I don't know, everyone feedback on that.
If no one has immediate thoughts, I can give mine.
Can somebody restate it? I missed the thrust of what that ask was.
Yeah, it's basically, should we major rev everything? Just say we're dropping tests in those versions, and even though we're not making any breaking changes, we're not making breaking changes. We are breaking it by saying this package no longer supports Node 0.10.
Yep.
My take is that's extra work. Why? Once we get the first person to go in there and make a change that is breaking major revs, and as long as that doesn't break Express tests, we adopt it. But after this year, we'll be on an upgrade path that is pretty reasonable and reliable. And so at most, not major revving those signs us up right now, once we land this, for 1 extra year. And some of those are so low change velocity that, to me, I just don't see major version revving them being worth the effort, because it then signs us up for maintaining 2 major versions as long as we're maintaining Express 4 on all these little tiny submodules, right? Like that's the downside, is that we now have to maintain both the current major for Express 4 until its end of life and the new one, and they're like the same, right? We're just dropping tests, like, which to me is like just extra busy work. Even though I get the point, like it is a good sentiment, right? If we had a ton of people and everybody was working well, and all these little modules were all in sort of clean tip-top shape, like, yeah, I would actually probably agree that we should do that just to make the statement. But at this point, I don't think we're staffed or whatever, to be able to do that for the next 2 years. Yep, John.
I agree with that. It does sound like extra work to me. So I think that we should just do it as a as needed basis in terms of as soon as we start, like basically like don't. It's so easy to make overgeneralizations, but I was gonna say like I think we should move forward with the idea of like if we need a new feature in a package, add it, and then like, oh, this isn't supported in node 0.10, so we that's a breaking change. So we need to cut a new release there because we added something, so we needed to add a new Sember. And then with Express 5's support range, well, luckily it supports it. So with the idea that we will try to stick to our LTS support for other packages, ideally. But that's me, and like that sounds like a good idea. I'm sure that'll be easy. But so my point is like I agree with Wes. I don't think we should go ahead and just cut majors for the sake of dropping those support. I think that as we need to touch them, feel totally free to cut a new major and drop the support. But again, like we should probably look at and discuss all of those because maybe there's something that we're missing about why we would rather not cut that major or split. We're talking about potentially splitting maintenance burden to an older, more used package, and then a new version, etc. So, but go ahead, Blake.
Sorry, you should finish whatever you need. I actually need to go back a point to the previous one on tagging things. When you say tagging everything for discussion, I was gonna try to take on ownership of more of like the sub packages and kind of just like ramp through and close out issues. Would you prefer that I like try to finalize things, or do you want to just tag it and then have discussions?
John, are you responding?
Oh, go ahead. I've got some. I was gonna say like we either or me can go through and create new labels on all of the packages if we agree what we think those labels should be and how we should use them. Like Express V5 discuss, Express V5 to do. But that's tangential to what Blake is talking about.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure. I was like, I don't think that answers the question. I think we close anything we can possibly close. Like we should. This is like a ruthless prioritization exercise, not a busy work, discuss everything to death kind of thing. My point with that is there are some things that people have spent lots of time on these PRs many years ago, and just mindlessly closing them also is not super great. So it's more just like I wanted to get the ball rolling and not have us accidentally miss something through lack of a structured approach. That's really all it is. So if there is things that are clearly closed, or you can make a really strong argument for closing, no discussion. I don't want to discuss these things. I just want to like get us over the hump. And so like what I did in the router repo, for example, was I did close a few of them, but there was a couple where I said, it kind of looks like we might want this someday, maybe not today, but like, so I made a comment and said, hey, if you're interested in getting this over the finish line, like now's your call. We're here to help you get over the finish line, which, and I tried to make it feel welcoming or, something to like help people feel comfortable coming back in. And that it was actually going to land because the things just hung there forever and didn't land. But there's tons of ones where it's like, I think I saw John close a couple the other day where it was like, this thing was abandoned, never going to happen. Like, to me, that's actually the ideal, because then we can just forget about it and push the, if all of these end up just being closed, maybe even better. All the hands went away.
Oh, well, they all went away. I was trying to get out of line. So Ulysses, go ahead, Ulysses, if you had something to say, I'll get.
Yeah, I just wanted to say there was a minor thing basically. I was like, yeah, I was thinking when I was making this discussion pending, there are stuff like, for example, support for HTTP 2, which is something like we might want to have it, but not for 5. So the discussion was more like, if we cannot just close the idea, and we are thinking like, maybe we can say like, it's needed for 5. No, let's move for 6. So that's more or less the approach. So we don't kill them. It's just basically not in this release, just future. So future for us is, let's say, 6, next major, basically. So that way we can just go with the minimum possible for 5, and then we can just go very fancy on 6 and beyond, basically.
Can you restate your question again, Blake? Because I have something I want to say, but I just want to make sure that I understand what your question was specifically, so I don't ramble, basically.
Yeah, so there are a bunch of small packages that no one is leading yet. I was going to take over some of them. I talked to Wes about this, like router is a good example. And if I was to like take that over, should I start actually just like ramping through the 5.x issues and like making executive decisions where it makes sense to like get the 5.x like API out? Or should I just be labeling these things and not doing any work until we discuss them?
I'm glad I asked. Yeah, okay, cool. Because what I was going to say is relevant, which is, dude, yeah, I trust you to do whatever you need to get V5 shipped. I love what you did with encode URL. You were like, let's just cut a new major and fix this thing. And then we did it and we have that now. And that's great. Like you're a responsible maintainer. You did a great job. I don't think we need to bottom out. Again, yeah, like Wes said, no busy work. I don't feel beholden to any issues or PRs that have been open for 10 years. Sucks, but also like I'm not going to get just our obligation is to the users of Express, not specifically the the collaborators, the contributors who the project has let down in the past. Unfortunately, so I think whatever we need to do to get V5 shipped. So what I'm hearing is like, I think we still need to we need people to go through all of our packages and just look at like, oh, is there something really important that we need to do that would force us to, if we miss it for 5, we'd have to do it in 6 or like would have to wait or whatever. And if that happens, fine, whatever. But we have the opportunity right now to like go through stuff and be like, oh, this is a blocking issue for 5 or any new major and we need to take care of it. So, but yeah, if you're project captain, if you got that commit bit, man, great. The stuff on like Express itself, I was like, I want to limit that status code thing. And it probably I could have slipped it into the PR. I did slip it into the PR and I probably could have gotten it merged if people didn't review it properly. Right. But it's like, that's not how we do things with the public API of Express. We can't, which is why I brought it here to talk about. It's like, I want to make this change to Express itself. So there may be some things like that where it's like, hey, if I bump this new major and add this new feature, it potentially could drastically change V5 and exchange Express's API. So those things, like, please do bring to us, I guess, because we would love to discuss them. But also, like, I don't know. The point is, like,
can I jump in? Sorry,
go ahead. Jump in.
First, we're at time, so I just wanted to time check us. I would like to wrap up, but we have a model. We have a consensus model. It's been there. It's pretty well documented. There was just Doug doing a lot of this work by himself for a long time. So there's not a, we're missing this is just how it's been working part, right? So we have to establish that for ourselves. Here's my only thing. Be responsible. That's it. We all are, I think, already. So I think it's not a big problem. What I would like to say, and I don't think we should make any policy, is just give it enough time to make sure that people do have time to respond. If a PR is merged within 6 hours, probably too fast, just because there's time zones and stuff, right? Like, and I personally, like, I didn't look at my computer once the whole weekend. It would be nice if I could like look at things just to make sure I knew they happened. Not saying leave things open for weeks on end or anything, but like, we shouldn't like make progress in a way that would make people feel, whoa, that happened really fast and I had a bit of feedback, right? But that's it. Be responsible, I think is pretty good stuff. Oh, do we want, we're at time. I was going to try to wrap us up. Should we make a discussion on that, or can we just table it and we don't need to, what do we want to do do we need a policy? Like in the past, I think there was no time limit. It was just like, leave it open for a reasonable amount of time, and if nobody complains, it would land. And in the past, things took so long to land that it wasn't an issue. I don't like adding
Yeah.
policy for no reason.
I don't know if we need a policy or anything. I just didn't want to step on anyone's toes, explicitly, because like when I took over Path to Regex, I just ramped up development and did a bunch of work there, and then helped stuff happen outside of Express, and that one has like deviated a bunch from Express as a result. I obviously don't want to do that too many times. I can't imagine that clearly happening again now that it's like an actual TC meeting that happens often enough where I can discuss things, but like that basically the gist is like I want to make sure that I'm like not making anyone else feel excluded, but I also want to be able to like make progress. So I'd probably just like take over and start like
if we were all on a highly functioning team where we were very close with each other and worked, liked working with each other, how do you guys, the people in this group, how do you think we would want to run it? I don't think we need to enforce a policy right now, but like, the idea I think is just like, just be communicative with stuff. So I'm telling you my preference now, and I do have time to go over. So I know not everybody might, but I have some time to go over.
I don't, and we have I would like for us to be a little bit more conscientious. We even with the structuring, I think helps us. We have plenty of time. We got other meetings. We can just. I say we kick this to the next one, and we just cut it. Just to like try to be a little bit more formal with our structure, if that's all right. Does anybody disagree with the attempt to be a little bit more formal? I think it really helps the node meetings, and so I would just like to like try to time box it, because otherwise we could ramble for hours, I'm sure. I know I could. So okay, great. If everybody's good with that, we'll call this one about the consensus. Let's just, if we want to talk about stuff in Slack or in issues, if people are concerned, raise something there, and we'll follow up there. And I think that's it. Thanks everybody, and we'll upload the recording for this into the YouTube since we couldn't live stream it. So, okay, thanks. We'll see you all later.
Goodbye.
Bye, folks.
Have a good day. See you.
Goodbye. Yeah, Blake, run with it, man. When are you going to take over?
I was gonna take over Rado, but like Wes's PR is actually the one that was gonna close.
Yeah.
I replied like a month ago. I was like, I think a month is reasonable.
We are still recording, however. But,
I know, but he said he was gonna clip it, so I'm like,
yeah.
Easy.
That's good. I mean, I'd say PR yourself in as repo captain there, and then offline if you need to talk with Wes about direction, things like that, basically. So. But yeah, I mean, we don't have the option to keep stalling. I spelunk hardcore in our issues, so I'm like, I feel like I'm in the Lord of the Rings. I'm like reading about the ancient lore. It's a very satisfying to me. Like, but I've seen comments from like 2014 and 2015, which is like, well, V5 will be out in like a month, so let's just wait for the next IO.js release, and then we'll see where we're at. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, oh no, I'm seeing my future before me. We need to get V5 out quickly. Oh no. There's gonna be a lot of work, I think, there's gonna be a lot of work to make sense of, to make sure we know what changed and where we're at with V5 in terms of like when we land all the stuff and everything merges in, like it's gonna be a lot of work just to figure out like a change log of like, here's how the Express public API works now. That'll be a lot of work in general. So like, let's get to that point as soon as we can. And then if we need to cut a new major because V5 sucked, like we'll do it basically, So V5 won't suck though, it'll be good.
I think that makes sense. I think, the one thing I need is just like the ability to stop ramping through things. I'm actually a little worried about waiting another week and 2 days. Because I was like, this week is the week I'm gonna like just crush through all Express 5. Like I'll just take the week and only do Express. It sounds like maybe not. Maybe it'll be next week.
I mean, post a comment in the TC chat, and then because I think we can. I don't remember if we have to wait till the next meeting. The next one's a working group, but we can probably approve you for project captain on that stuff, and you can start doing the work basically. So.
Cool. Okay, yeah, I'll do that, and then I'll just message Wes on the TC chat now to see if he would be offended by his PR being closed.
Just make sure you give him a good gift when you do it. Consolation gift.
Nice. Okay,
see
you later.
Cheers, Blake.
Bye.